No, not retiring. Hell no, the GOAT's not going anywhere. Let's just make a difference and distinction between individual and team, okay? Keep that in mind as I continue to talk. When he was walking off the field, I was like, Tom Brady's still playing. Why? Because individually, he's still at the top of the sport, top of his game, leading the league in yardage this year and passing touchdowns. Stop playing. When you retire, a couple things enter your head. One, you can't do it like you used to do it. So you start thinking your highlights are behind you. One. Two, the circumstances, the conditions, the environment, just the process of preparing is a little too daunting for you in those moments. You start to think about other things. The real world is easier than this. Or I got what I need out of this. Let me go elsewhere. I don't see Tom Brady checking any of those boxes saying, I need to retire, because what's best for him is still in front of him on a football field. He plays quarterback, the most protected position, and because of the rule changes, the position that is being amplified more so than ever to have success. I hear all the reports. I understand that some people are saying, well, he has to wait till he gets his money on the contract deadline. He wants to control his narrative. How about he's still so damn good he doesn't want to go anywhere, and the only reason you guys are trying to usher him away is because of his birth certificate. I don't think he's retiring. Prove me wrong, because Tom Brady's still at the top of the sport.
I hope he's not retiring. I mean, you know, I've had a man crush on Tom Brady for the last 22 years, for crying out loud. I mean, think about this. He's got 10,000-plus yards passing in the last 2 seasons, 80-plus touchdowns, only 24 interceptions. As you mentioned, he's at the top of his game. He's protected. He's never lost the desire to play or to prepare. Like I've always said, hey, man, it's not the Sundays that end up retiring you. It's the lack of preparation or the lack of want to, from a preparation standpoint, Monday through Saturday, that beat you down. And so he has never lost that desire, that insatiable appetite to be coached, to prepare to play. So I think it comes down to this. I hope he doesn't retire. He did use a word that I've never heard him say before. And this is the one thing that makes me go, ugh. He said, I'm satisfied. He said he was satisfied with his career. If it were to end, he's satisfied. And that was the only thing that gave me pause. Like, oh, nuts. I don't want to see the guy. I don't want to see him walk away, because it's too much fun to watch him defy the odds. It really is. At 45, he said he wanted to play till 45. So maybe it's just, hey, I'm satisfied. I got to go check with my wife. I got to go check with the kids. Will you guys allow me to give it one more run? And if they say yes, then he's back. I hope he's back. I really do hope he's back. It does feel like, when I heard the word satisfied, though, I was like, oh, no. It just felt like it was going to...
like a little foreshadowing. Satisfied is not a word that he generally uses. That's not how he got where he is, being satisfied. You're right. He has the second best odds to win MVP. He had an incredible season. But there's a couple things going on here. Aside from the report, which I do believe is true. I think he wanted to make the announcement on his own, which he deserves to do.
Thank you.
I think he has a really great video he's working on, a tearjerker. I was on air when this report dropped this weekend on Fox Sports Radio. So I had to scratch the show and do a Tom Brady retirement show, which I've never prepared a thought or a feeling for Tom Brady retiring, because what's the point? It's a waste of time to speculate when Tom Brady's going to retire. I don't want him to retire. I made the decision to enjoy Tom Brady's career after that Super Bowl comeback against Atlanta. I was like, all right, fine, I submit. He's the greatest. I'm just going to watch and enjoy watching the greatest to ever do it, play football, instead of being mad at the fact that he, ruins all my team's seasons every single year. It's fine, and I've enjoyed it. I love watching Tom Brady play. I love what he brings to the game. And I gotta admit, as much pain and agony as Tom Brady has caused my teams over the years, I was emotional. I was listening to My Way on the way home, Frank Sinatra, just reminiscing on my Tom Brady memories. I was getting a little teary-eyed, like, wow, it's going to be a new world in the NFL. It's really happening. I think it also means I might be getting old, because this means that if Tom Brady's getting old, I'm definitely getting old. So there's a lot. There's a lot to process. But here's the other side of this, like the football side of it. They're going to lose Byron Leftwich. And Levante David came out and said they were having some issues in the building. It was a little more dysfunctional behind the scenes. Tom Brady talked about how they weren't prepared a lot of weeks. That's not what Tom Brady likes. He's a very structured guy. He has his way about him, and it has shown to be successful. So, you can come into a place, and he obviously showed he brought the winning formula to Tampa Bay. But then everybody gets paid, and everybody's got the ring, and he ran it back with everyone the same. Do they have that same kind of hunger? Because Tom Brady's going to come there like he has something to prove, like he's a 6th-round pick every single day. But everybody doesn't have that same mentality. So the Bucs might look a lot different. They already look different at the end of the season. Losing AB, they lost Chris Godwin. Is Gronk going to come back for another year? So there are some questions about his situation in Tampa Bay that are worth examining as well when he talks about running it back another year.
Yeah.
But it's that part. It's the way that he sounded after the game. We could all be completely wrong, and he could run it back another year. But I would not be surprised if the report is true and he's hanging it up. I think he just wants to do it on his terms. And it was also weird timing, too. Like, why would he want this out in the middle of the postseason run? You know we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl for the next 2 weeks. You know we're going to be talking about these championship games this weekend. Now you're just going to throw in at this point in time that you're retiring. Like Ben Roethlisberger, we knew it. He did the curtain call with the Steelers at the last home game. We knew he was retiring. This is just a weird time for him to do it anyway. You would think that Tom would want his moment after the season is over, after the Super Bowl is over, to say, I'm walking away.
I'll believe it when he's fat and he's eating ice cream and nightshades.
Right.
Like,
Ice cream.
when ice cream and nightshades, when that happens, I'll go, okay, he is going to retire. Right, yes.
That's just not how retirement looks, even though that's how retirement sounds. It's not how he looks right now, physically, by performance. And to your point, Joy, he's not the type to hijack the moment. He wants his own moment. He knows he's going to get his own moment. I don't have to go tandem and attach myself to the Super Bowl and ride that wave or even try to steal some of the thunder from the Super Bowl. And look, I have an issue with just how it gets out now. It's a silly state of affairs now, how we communicate. Like, okay, I got some information, and that's more important than the individual who the information is about. It's Tom Brady. Like, everybody in this sport, whether it's media, player, fan, show some reverence, deference to Tom Brady at least. Let him control it, because I'm going to be real. The TB12 brand, it got off to a slow start because he was suppressing his individuality while he was in New England. TB12 could have been huge for a decade or so, but it took some time for it to get rolling, in part because he wanted to be the ultimate team leader, right? So now you can see it in full force, full activation in Tampa Bay. Howard Stern interviews, everything. Like, he's in full force marketing mode. I respect that. So give the man his space, because he's old and earned that same space. And I see Tom Brady looking at the other GOATs, because there are only a few GOATs if you respect it. Like Jerry Rice, they say is a GOAT, like Jerry Rice is a GOAT. Michael Jordan's a GOAT, people say, yeah. And the way they went out, Jerry Rice, the braids, not playing the same level, still good Jerry Rice, but not tremendous. He was lesser of Jerry Rice than Tom Brady is of himself. This might be the best Tom Brady we've ever seen. Michael Jordan with the Wizards, that wasn't Michael Jordan. So why would Tom Brady at this apex decide to leave just because he can't see it in design yet from his team? Tom Brady's been on teams before where he couldn't see it, but still got it done.
But you've both played and retired. So sometimes you retire because your body is had enough.
Yeah. That's
and
right.
then sometimes it's like you feel like your body's had enough. Remember, he had an injury he played through all last year.
Yeah,
so
true.
while he's not going to talk about his injuries and what his body feels, and he's playing at such a high level, who knows how he actually feels at home and what his body is going through. And he talked about Giselle and how she hates to see him get hit and all of that. You know, there's also another emotional family side to retiring. He has kids. He has a wife who's talked about him retiring for a while now.
Right.
You know, it's a different phase that you get to in life. And when you've accomplished as much as Tom Brady's accomplished, which what else? There's nothing else to prove. What else could he possibly accomplish? When you're looking at the situation that he's in, the team that he's in, it might look different next year. There's a lot of emotional things that go into retiring, as you both know. Like, you start to think and dream of the next part of your life. And once that starts to settle in, you start to make peace with what your career is and was.
Yeah, he's bigger to us than he's available for them, his family. And I think that's really...
We've had him for 22 years.
Yeah, and that gets tough. You can't take your son to practice, you know, and everything has to be through FaceTime, and you just don't get all those intimate moments that you desire and that you deserve. Right. So maybe he's there.
I think one of the things about him, though, is the only place he can be himself, honestly, in the locker room.
Yeah.
It's the only place that you can actually be one of the dudes, right? Damn. And he is one of the guys. Yeah. They love him in there. I mean, and he is a grinder. You know that about him. I mean, there's nobody that spends more time, that works harder, that all that kind of stuff. But he loves that aspect. You go anywhere in public, man, you got to be buttoned up, right? Oh, I mean, he just comes down. I can just see him just completely relaxed once he walks in the locker room.
Yeah, that's an entirely different segment. How the locker room is the only thing I truly miss about the game. Not the games, because sometimes they did hurt, and you lose sometimes. And certainly not practice and not the process, but that locker room, sacred place. The only place you could keep it 100.